to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Yay! We're here. Hello. I've forgotten my notes. I didn't put anything in my notes. It wasn't me. Okay, that's Restream, right? Hello, everyone. Hello. If you are here listening to me, of course, I would love to hear your thoughts. I got my tea. I've got everything I need. I haven't got my notebook, but I got another notebook instead, which I shall use. Because I always find a notebook useful, especially when you have interesting conversations. I don't want to forget what people say, right? I got to do what I got to do as the host, So, anyway, my notebook is now open. My pen is ready. Excellent. Right. I have no idea who's here, so I'm going to have to wait to see who pops a comment on. Then I can welcome you properly, right? Honestly. Why does my keyboard decide that it's going to stay on capital after time? I never know why. And I always try and change it, but it's not never goes. It takes time to go. Yes, there's Mr. Aaron. Let's invite him. I said I would invite him. He's my new friend. Well, I better say starting now. That way people know not to be coming too late, right? Anyway, look, I've got an interesting topic today. It's the brainchild of a conversation we had in our Being Your Authentic Self and Business room last Friday. We'll talk about self-confidence. And somehow the conversation drifted to imposter syndrome. Yes, imposter syndrome. Let me not call it an imposter syndrome yet. Otherwise, I might upset my friend Sean, who doesn't think it's a condition. He thinks it's a natural occurrence, apparently. So, Sean, I hope you are here. Come on, talk to me, Sean. I haven't shared the link yet, by the way, the Restream link. But what I should do is I should send a few more invites, like I always do. Then I'll share the link to join the studio, because I love to have a conversation. Failing a conversation, I guess I will share my thoughts on imposter syndrome. I think it fits the topic for this room: being your authentic self and business. This is my signature room. This is a room that I do, even if the world is going to pot, even if other rooms don't go on. This one tends to go on because I think it's the most important thing in terms of conversations around how do we grow our business. You see, this room was started years ago. I'd say this was my very first room, right? So when I discovered that LinkedIn was going to bring in LinkedIn audio, I figured, okay, I have to get involved in this audio thing somehow, because everything else I tried in social media was, same as many people find. It's tumbleweed, essentially. Nothing happens, right? Nothing happens. You post every day, and nothing happens. You might get some likes, you might get some comments. Still nothing happens. There's no inquiries. There's no one banging your door to work with you. Yes, okay, I evolved into Search and Connect. That was my real discovery about how to make LinkedIn work. So I search for people your target audience, connect with them, and then tell them what you do. Some will call that pitch slapping these days. I do, but it's not pitch slapping if you do it with care, if you do it with love in your heart. What do I mean by that? Essentially, if you do it with informing people what you do, that's not pitch slapping. If your next message after someone connects with you is buy my thing, buy my product, here's a special offer, oh here's what's wrong with your business or your website or your whatever, your life, and then I have the solution, buy it now, that's pitch slapping. Just saying, look, thanks for connecting. We do XYZ. If you're interested, let's talk. If you're not, no problem. While still leaving the door open to a conversation, a relationship about what the other person does. That's a conversation, right? Anyway, so that I was doing that for a very long time, and then LinkedIn hated me connecting with people I didn't know, so I had to stop doing that. And when I saw LinkedIn audio come in, I resolved to get involved because I've been on Clubhouse. I've seen that talking is the way social media is going. This conversation audio events was the way. So, but the thing is that maybe you don't know. I did not talk in public unless I really had to for years, about 15 years. I did not speak. I literally, if I could hide away, I would. I was in the background. Even though I was doing big jobs, I was still in the background. I saw my job as empowering others to speak, empowering my staff to speak, empowering kids I worked with to speak, empowering everyone to speak apart from me, because I just did not find talking in public comfortable. Anyway, so this was a room that got me over that, and I guess the message that we want to share in this room is most important. See, it comes down to a simple fact. Everyone thinks if I work hard, if I'm more disciplined, if I'm more dedicated, if I'm more something, if I do more, I will succeed. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. See, business I realized, I learned, is 98% what goes on in your head, your mindset. And then a small part, 2% to maybe 5% on a good day, is the work, your skills, your effort. Hence, my mindset coach and I, Miss Donna Martin, started this room. Donna's just been, what's the word? Shortlisted for 3 awards for the mindset work she does. That she is remarkable. I'll say, she's changed my life really. Now, so this room was all about me learning more deeply the things that help you build a business. It's mostly mindset talk. Every so often, I would dive into my speciality, which is linked to mindset, books, marketing. It's still a mindset conversation, really. So that's where this room came from, and that's what we talk about. And I'm aware I'm just talking at you, and I'm actually looking at the restream screen. Oh, my friend, you're here. Yes, Mike, welcome, Mike. Look, I will download this song that you've sent me, Mike. I realized it's there now. I didn't know it was there before, but I should go and download it. And I should play. I think I've opened the tab. I think, yeah, I've opened a tab somewhere. Because I saw it in my DMs. No. Yeah, it's there. Suno. Yeah, okay. I'll definitely play that, Mike, before we go today. Again, I think this links to our topic. Imposter, being an imposter, feeling like you're an imposter, feeling like you are lucky more than deserving. Again, I think this is a real thing. For me, like I just said, given that I spent most of my life hiding away, thinking I've got nothing to say, and even if I wanted to say something, I would probably screw it up. Just feeling that you haven't got the abilities that you really have. It's a weird feeling. It's a very strange feeling. But I guess I believe it's a real thing. I think it's a real problem. The imposter condition. Yeah, that's what I'll call it, right? It is a real problem. It is one, I think, is one that hampered me for years. So now I've got to this place where I'm quite blasé, I'm ignorant half the time. Some will call me a narcissist. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, right? But I couldn't really care less what someone says about me, even what someone thinks about me half the time. Unless of course, you're paying me and your thought means something to you pay my invoice. Then I would care for a second or two. And then I'll probably do what I normally do, right? I'll probably say to myself, I don't care that much. Your money is not going to make me or break me. Yay. So frankly, I couldn't care less. There's many ways that I guess I show my rebel side. I call it my rebel side. Some will call it stupid any, which is fine. One of those is like no, I have now come to accept any time, ENY time, right? My time. Most things happen on my time. Yes, I've gone on time-ish today, maybe 5 minutes late, right? Whereas most of the time, I think I am late, mentally late, almost deliberately late, because I'm working on any time, and again, I say that again because that is something to do with feeling in control, feeling that I won't be dictated to by people, whoever you are. I met someone there says I met someone new the other day, and I was like, "Wow, you're exactly on time." I was on time too. So it's not that I'm always late. It's not just that most of the time I'm late. In IRL, in real life, I am late because I misjudge how long it takes to drive to a place. But on my way there, I don't think, "Oh, I'm late. I'm late. I'm late." Oh, it's gonna... They might have left. I'm like, no, they're gonna wait. I'm the important one. Yeah, and if I get there and they're not there, I don't cry. I don't say, "Oh no, Eddie, you're terrible. You're late again." I'm like, they're lost. And I truly mean, and I move on. I don't even think twice. When I speak to them again, I may say what happened. I may apologize. I probably won't. So now this topic really is about becoming yourself, because I had to become myself. I've now found me, and this is joy to finding you. See, again, my conversation is in context of when I was working in the job for years, year after year after year. Literally, I felt like someone who didn't belong. I felt everyone was better than me, even though I was one of the most hardworking, one of the most high achieving, one of the cleverest, to be fair. I have more experience than most because, my last job before this, I was running a charity. When I got there, I was in my early 20s, 23, something like that, 24. But I worked my way up. But I knew the job inside out, right? I knew the job because I lived the system. The job was supporting kids through social care to get their rights and entitlements from the government. And so I could fight for every child I worked with, with everything I had. And everything I had was education, life experience, negotiation skills, the ability to write. I thought about the passion for the job, because I think once you've been a client officer of the government, so to speak, maybe once you've been the victim of the government, right? You learn certain qualities that other people just don't have. Unless you've been there, you don't know, right? Much like unless you've been pregnant, you don't know really how to fight for people for pregnant women. Maybe you do. You can learn, but if someone who's had kids, oh, LinkedIn, why'd you do this to me? LinkedIn just decided to restart, and I'm trying to type my message to invite you to send the invite link to join the studio. Anyway, so literally, so I had everything that my job needed, but I would still show up with that feeling of, oh, they know more than me, they're better than me. And it used to really, really jam my brain. It used to really annoy me. Every day I was anxious. I was unsure of myself. I was afraid. Let me say that, right? It's very, very annoying. I think, this imposter syndrome thing is a real thing, right? It's a feeling that like an imposter, feeling that you're a fraud, feeling that one day people are gonna discover who you really are. It's a war, it happens every day. It happens to many women who achieve a lot. High achievers, we call them, right? You know, and it happens, and the world just says, "Oh no, no, let's move on." Mike, I know you're one of the ones who said that calling it syndrome drives you crazy. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, right? All right, I need a couple of seconds to type this message so I can post it and start posting it out, and I put it in the chat. So if you want to join the studio, you can. Put this video, just share in today's, yeah. So I do really want to pick the bones out of imposter syndrome. Now, what is it? Is it real? Is it real? Yes, it's real. I'm not going to argue. Let's not go there. No. Is it a health condition? Is a question I'm asking when I say is it real, right? And that's the whole conversation itself. I hope we're going to have today, right? What makes it a health condition? If it's not a health condition, why isn't it a health condition? Given that it's real, right? It's all of those I want to talk about today. I'm trying to multitask, and there's nothing worse than trying to multitask. Many things can happen when that situation arises. Yes. Anyway, there's many people here, so I can see many of you in the comments already. I will begin to focus on you in a second. Just the admin things I need to do before we can get started. I do see Liliana. All right. Okay. So I've now put the link to join in the comments. If you want, it's not if you're brave enough. If you have something about this topic, if you want to come and share something, great. Have you experienced imposter syndrome? Have you seen it for yourself? Have you seen someone go through it? I'd say truly, I would love to have your thoughts. I'd love to have your experiences and your insights that we can all learn from. See, I think this is a mindset topic primarily, but there's also a lot more to it than mindset. And I truly believe, from what I've seen, there's a lot more. There's a lot in terms of why does it mainly affect women? Why does it mainly affect ethnic minorities? Why does it mainly affect people with disabilities? Mr. Sean Michael, I see you now. Look, there's a link to join the studio. It is on the event page. If you want the link sent to you directly, then please. Yes, Sean, it was you. Yes, Sean. Stop apologizing. Come and talk to me, Sean. Come and tell me what that means. What? Sean, come on. I'd love to have the thoughts and the conversation with you. And I can see Mike's in the studio. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing lovely.
Go on, talk to me.
Yes, it's real. I'm going to struggle, but I'm going to agree with Sean in calling it a syndrome. But it's known by that, and Sean could be a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes. But when it comes to definitions, I love Sean, by the way, just for clarity. But
we all do. I think I call you that, Sean. It was Mike. Yes. I didn't say. Did I say we agree? Yeah. Okay. But let's leave that for now.
And I'm fine with stopping pathologizing it, but I think it's very important, and particularly like you said, Annie, with people that are actually high achievers, that that we look back, and maybe it's because we are allowing perfect to get in the way of good, um or I don't know, but I know the way I dealt with it is I had to actually go back many years, actually, because I had gone through a review, and I was going through something similar to what you were saying, which was, trying to land another role, and I just wasn't finding anything. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on when you're in that position to begin with.
Mm.
But I'm like, am I, not, quote unquote, and I'm air quoting, you can't see me, good enough? And what's the issue? Well, I had to go back and say, what I thought were things in the L column are actually wins. And that I had taken, for instance, I spent 13 years as a CISO. And did I take that program as far as I may have wanted to? No. But did I significantly move it forward and accomplish a ton of things? Absolutely. And I think that's for those of us that are high achievers and want to, provide, just excellent service and everything else. I think we have to take maybe a more realistic view of what we were actually able to accomplish.
Mm. I don't know who's created these little circles. It wasn't me. It does look rather odd. I don't like any of the layouts otherwise.
You
It's a
you you
conversation.
can make them squares, any.
How do I do that? How do I do that? This is the best I can get. So
uh
how do I make them squares?
I'd have to see the
Dr.
internal.
Sean, you know how to. You're a restream guy. You know how it works anyway.
Somewhat, but they just did some major updates.
Mm,
Like
mm.
when I went in Monday, I was like, "Whoa, what is
Yeah,
this?"
yeah. No, I think so when I joined StreamYard, they started making updates, ran literally loads of changes. And then now Restream is doing exactly the same. Everything changed from how you set up events. Everything's changed. It's like, oh, thanks. But it's all right. We'll get through it. Yeah, the three of us will look like this for a while. Who's joined us? Someone else has joined us. Yay! Hi, Crystal. Right. Mike, look, we're square. Yay! I didn't do that. Someone did.
You caught me on a day off.
How are you doing? You do have days off, Crystal.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I tell you.
Um, I, I I love the whole imposter syndrome thing because when I was like prepping and like right about a half hour to an hour before my event, the one that went so well that I was so excited about,
Mm.
I was seriously feeling imposter syndrome that day. In fact, I actually grabbed your book, my dear friend, in the green room right there.
That's you, Sean. Not me. Dr.
Yes,
Sean,
Sean.
you.
And, reminded myself that I'm not an imposter, especially not in the kitchen, that this is, I got this.
Mm.
But it was when you get overwhelmed, especially with something people are counting on you for, you know, a big project at work or with your family, things like that, you know, you can feel that imposter syndrome, like, wait, what am I doing? Am I really, should I really be leading this project? You know, but, you know, the people that put you in charge of it saw something in you. Obviously, you're not an imposter. You know, I promoted it. I got the prep done and sold out. You know, we did amazing. We made served 60 people in 3 hours in that tiny restaurant. You know, obviously I'm not an imposter, but you can feel that overwhelm. And recognizing those signs and saying, wait a minute, no, I got this. And I have a good team or family standing next to me to say, no, you can do it. In fact, I messaged Sharon Byrne, whom all of us know, about it. And I was like, I'm freaking out. And she's like, Crystal, You got this. Do not let the imposter syndrome take you. She's like, you know, you got this. You know, having a good support system is a big thing when you're feeling that overwhelm, because that's a big part of what imposter syndrome is. You feel overwhelmed when you're stepping into that role, even if it's a role that you were born for. You know, cooking, hosting events like that, that's in my blood. But I felt in that moment all of the pressure, and I was like, what if I can't do it? But I overcame it and rocked it out. So that's my little share on imposter syndrome from very recent experience. And now I'm planning another event for
That is brilliant.
for
You saved me
St. Patrick's
saying,
Day.
is that today?
No, the
It's
Saturday
coming.
after St. Patrick's Day, I'm planning another event. A little bit more low key, but getting that going. You know, because I did so well, I am the official event coordinator and like host and everything for my job.
Awesome, awesome. I mean that sincerely.
So
Please do an online version. I don't know what we're gonna do. Just drink Guinness and get drunk and scream. Sounds like fun.
I'll think about it. Maybe I'll
That could
do an
happen.
online cooking, class.
Yeah, as long as you like, you agree to accept me as I am, not judge me for being drunk and drunk. Right, I'm all right with that. Look,
A
now,
little
Chris,
sherry for the pan, a little sherry for the cup for the cook. Is that it?
something like that. Having fun where we can, right? Thanks, Chris, for
Absolutely.
so you set the scene. So Stanley, welcome. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Mary Kay, Mary
I'm gonna
Kay.
switch over to my computer, so I'll be back in a few minutes.
Cool. Now, I was thinking, like, when I see you say Mary Kay, I always think of the Mary Kay company. I think, does she really own the company? But I think I think you're a writer, and you're in my world, the publishing or writing book as a bit of the world, right? What does Mary Kay say? For me, it's about remembering myself. My cooperating system is still here, but was overridden by programming. Uninstall. Free that, I tell you, you get it as well. Look. I think I like how Krista described it. Yes, potentially, Sean, imposter syndrome is thinking, it's a thought. But I think it becomes an illness when we let it drag us down, hold us back. Cause us stress, cause us anxiety, cause us depression. It's normally linked to depression anyway. I'm saying so. That's why I call it a condition. I'm quite happy to accept it's a health thing. Anxiety. There's so many things that are attached to it. It's not just thought. It stops us having joy. Go on, Sean. Go on.
And those thoughts, I want to challenge that, because thoughts, there's three ideas. There's the mind, that's the greater intelligence. It's not this mind, it's the connected mind. It's the energy behind everything. It's the force of life. And we have our thoughts. Those are the things we think about day in, day out, whatever. And then there's our consciousness, which brings thought to life. It makes it real. I'm not denying the validity of feeling like an imposter. I put my coaching dreams on hold for 8 flippin' years because of the imposter thoughts. Yes, it's connected with depression, but even depression is from thoughts. Schizophrenia, all of it. There's one mental illness, it's our thoughts. When we change our thoughts, everything else changes. I've seen cases where people in a mental hospital walked out released because they changed their thinking. And what if it's not that women get it more? I think there's some dynamics here. One, it's the conditioning. Girls, women tend to learn that are conditioned that success relies on their effort and being approved of what they're doing. Boys tend to learn of success as inherent ability. And so that can cause the thoughts for women, is this real? Like, and society and the narratives out there promulgate this, right? If a woman's in power, oh, who'd she sleep with? I mean, come on. Like, a woman couldn't do the work and get up to that level without that. Like, that's the mindset people have. Strongly recommend, if you want to explore that more, there's a book called The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women by Valerie Young, which she goes into depth in this. And then you look at a lot of roles, a lot of industries. The women have had to work really hard to break into there and get into leadership. They've had to do more than others. And there was an article released on Harvard Business Review, and the title was "Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome." Because syndrome is something people threw in. It was at first explored as imposter phenomenon, because researchers, people realized that people shrink because they're feeling like, do I really belong here? Maybe this room is too big for me, blah, blah, blah. And it, like Mary Kay said, it's programs layered onto us in our life that cause us to be afraid of stepping into that new level. A side thing is women are more open to discuss it. Men, we tend to, just knuckle down and press on. But women are more apt to bring it up and say, hey, I'm kind of feeling like I don't really belong here. And I'll wrap it up. I can't stick around long any because I have a call at the top of the hour. Instead of asking ourselves, why do I have imposter thoughts, or why do I have imposter syndrome, or why do I feel like an imposter? Try it this way. What story is running in my head about myself? That gives us a different perspective. So now we can look at the story and say, okay, where does that come from? Is that legitimate? Is it true? Is it fact? Because what I heard Mary Kay say, and I saw in other comments, is and Crystal, when we go back and we look at, honestly, like, I do this, like, I'm good at this. It's those thoughts that are like, what are you doing? This room's too big for you. You can't handle this. And it's bunk. I yield the mic.
And Sean, my more recent moment was against something that I knew I had absolute experience and ability to perform. So again, to your point, I think it does come from, or I think I put it in the comments, or was going to put in the comments. I think it comes when you're in a period of growth or extension outside of, maybe your comfort zone, or at least your current comfort zone. And it really takes, just to your point, I think it takes an honest examination of what you were able to do, and achieve, and where you're at now, which is probably actually even in a better place. So, but I do want to acknowledge that it is a real thing, and that yeah, maybe you can even prepare, or, as you said, talk about it. I will say, I feel men need to be able to share stuff like this a little more openly, with each other, if it's, even if it's, other high achieving men, or whatever, or coach. 'Cause I think it's really important that we can share this stuff, and maybe even, with the next generation, with the younger generation of young men that are coming up, and saying, hey, you may run into this, and reach out.
And that's part of my vision, Mike, is that to create spaces where we can get raw, authentic men, women, indifferent. Because a lot of times we try to fight the thoughts that, I don't fit, I'm not smart enough, whatever enough. And when we can explore that in a safe space, felt safe space, things can change. We can go from there.
If anybody could do it, Sean, it would be you. Your book speaks for itself. Okay? I mean, I bought that book over a year ago, and I still reference parts of it, the journal and everything. I still reutilize it. I actually wrote like the answers and stuff in a separate notebook so that I could, just keep using the book itself. Hey, Felipe. Hey, CJ. Mike, you made some really valid points too. But I'm going to look into that book that you put out there, Sean, because women do feel it more, and it's because of the environment, especially like with me in the culinary world. It's harder for women to lead a kitchen and be respected. Now, granted, where I work, thankfully, it's a bunch of us hens together, so it's easier for me to be respected when, it's a bunch of women and me telling Matt, you're cooking, thank you. He made the mistake of saying, hey, I'll help. I said, good, and made him. But, there's so many different stereotypes, so imposter syndrome is easier, but at the same time, what about men wanting to be in the nursing field? Things like that. The typical women categories, or teaching, things like that are typical women jobs. Felipe, you made a good comment earlier, men just aren't as comfortable talking about it. But we all deal with it. It's just a matter of we need to support each other, like you said, Sean, and, work through it and stop saying, no, you don't belong here, because you do. If that's where you're driven to be, if that's where you feel you're supposed to be, what you want to do with your life, then you're not an imposter in that world. You're just learning and growing to be a better person in that world. That's my little 2 cents. I'm avoiding the invasion from Texas right now. Don't mind me.
Annie, you're on mute again, as always.
Oh, I like doing that. Right? Yeah, thank you so much, CJ. Look, and when I was thinking about the topic, I realized Sean is the one with the answer. This is about your identity, who you think you are. I accept that wholeheartedly. But I think the insidious effect. It's not just women. Women, of course, are a big part of people who experience imposter syndrome. I think ethnic minorities experience imposter syndrome. I think men do too. That's how I started in the room tonight, right? And I said, I know what it's like, and it is crippling, But of course, Felipe is a HR guy, leadership guy, so he knows how business works. I love to hear his thoughts, and CJ, I love to hear your thoughts too. I'm not sure who goes first. Let me welcome Meryl. Meryl, great to have you here, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Who's here? Dr. Tanya is here as well. They got their virtual wellness experience start coming soon. Do join them. Do connect with her and go along. I think we met one of the speakers yesterday, Heather. I think you're there, Filippo, as well, right? Yes, I think you're talking about social media. See, I do listen sometimes.
No, you did. I'm impressed.
I try my best, right? Who else is here? Obia, welcome. It's late in Nigeria, right? Yeah, it's late in Nigeria, but as I say, the rest of the world is, it's even late. Well, the US, the closer change, so we're all baffled. Liana, so I welcomed you earlier. I said Linda in Canada, thank you so much for being here. Some amazing comments, of course. I thank you all. Zara is here as well. Zara, I know you like to share your thoughts. Now, the link is in the comments on the event page. If you want to join us, please do. Something so nice. Sean says 80-20. 80% technology. Go on, go on, CJ.
Benny, yes, I've been chomping at the bit. Oh my
Go
goodness,
on,
I've
go
been
on.
chomping at the bit.
Go for it. Please go for it.
45 minutes I've been waiting to say something.
Yeah, honestly, the mic is yours. Go for it.
Especially because I want to catch Sean before he leaves. Or I
Yeah.
can't remember if it was Mike or Sean, but I took the
Blame
time
Sean.
to
It's fine.
actually. Well, I don't know who thought that something about the syndrome, that somebody didn't like the word syndrome. And I got to thinking about it and I was like, okay, let me dissect this, because that I have to, just for my own peace of mind, so I can, look at it, read it. And so when I looked at Webster's, and I don't know how many of you actually dig in the dictionary, but yes, I do. And it actually said a group of signs and symptoms that occur together and characterize a particular abnormality or condition. And then two, a set of concurrent things such as emotions or actions that usually form an identifiable pattern. And so I think syndrome is probably a better term to be used with this, because there are so many different things that go along with it. Not just that, but we were discussing, why so many women associate with it. But at the same time, there are people who are identifying with it that are minoritized people, that are different genders, sexual orientations, class, race, ethnic backgrounds. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that as females, there have not been role models, regardless of where we're from. Obviously, I'm from the United States. You can definitely tell from my accent, I'm sure. But the fact is that no matter what country around the world you look at, how many have female role models? Not very many. I mean, I recall Margaret Thatcher as being a good role model, but how many people remember who she is or even know anything about her? You say that name to some people, of course they remember who she is, but a lot of people really don't. Um, so I think that there's that lack of a way of associating with people that have made any kind of societal um, impact for the minorities, for the women, um, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Sean, was it you that had said that you didn't care for the word syndrome, or I don't know.
It was CJ,
For sure.
because I feel, and there's research and other speakers that are saying the same thing. When we use the term imposter syndrome, especially as you said, tends to be thrown on women and other marginalized groups.
Mm.
Like, you don't hear Jeff Bezos talking about, oh yeah, I got imposter syndrome. Like, does he? Probably. He has moments where he goes, what the hell am I doing? I
Sure.
guarantee it.
Self-doubt. Hmm.
It's human. It's human. And that's my thing, CJ, is that let's not pathologize it, because then it feels like, oh shoot, I caught a disease and now what am I going to do? I'm just stuck with it. And you can end up in this downward spiral that
Right.
is ugly. It's perfectly normal, and they're reasonable reactions when we step into a bigger arena, when we're stepping out of the comfort zone, we're doing something new for us. It's perfectly normal.
Hmm.
And then layer on years of conditioning and stuff we believed, like I'm not enough and I've got to work extra hard and prove myself. Talking about role models, my sister was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, and
Wow.
she would work, she'd be on a squadron, she's the only woman. There's like not another woman around, and she's like, look, I don't want special treatment. Don't give me the girl version. Don't disrespect me because I'm a woman, but don't give me the easier path. Like, I'm here, I
Hmm.
worked my way here just like everybody else. Treat me the same.
Right. Yeah, I think intelligent people have a hard time with feeling that way because of the fact that it should, despite their success, you do have those feelings where you really are struggling with, the self-doubt and, the lack of inadequacy. Do you feel 100%? And I think that what you've said is that really makes a lot of sense to me, and I guess that's why I was really chomping at the bit to say something and catch you before you disappeared on me. So thanks for letting me interject, Felipe. I know that you're waiting to get on stage too, but
You were
I
first. You were first.
oh thanks. Um,
I couldn't see, so I literally I saw three people all at once, and I brought you up on stage. Maybe the order you're appearing on that list is simple, is useful, is the right order.
well, I know, Annie, you always enjoy conversation anyways, and this is kind of a
I
little bit
do.
of a back
I
and
do.
forth here, and
Yeah.
I think it helps though, because I think that one of the things that actually can help with anything that we discuss when it comes to mental health is clarification, right? You know, um, you think somebody's upset at you, and it might just be your perception. You don't know until you get clarification from that other person, hey, have I done something wrong? It seems like you've been avoiding me. Come to find out, their dog died, their car broke down, whatever else is going on. And it's not that you did anything wrong. It's just they've had life happen.
Mm.
And, all of a sudden you're thinking, gee, I haven't heard from so and so in, 2 weeks. You don't think, gee, should I send them a text and say, are you okay? Is everything all right? Instead, sometimes, especially if we're dealing with our own mental health issues, we internalize a lot of things. And I think that that's where a lot of this imposter syndrome comes from as well. When we sit and we're in a situation, whether it's at work or in a social situation, um, where you're, and I think us women especially, I don't know why it is that we have always been, we judge uh, each other, and I think that women need to come together and realize that I think me having been in pageants really had taught me very well with having other women surrounding me that, yes, we were in a competition, but we were also in a competition with ourselves, because a lot of us fought with having um, home lives that were not perfect. We had less than perfect, and we were shoved out there on stage to be perfect. Where, somebody else's, we were supposed to be living out someone else's dream, not our own. We were on display because you can sing and you can dance and you're pretty, and so you get stuck in the pageant world, and you realize that, well, I'm not the only one who had that. Lord forbid if you put on 10 pounds, that's something that is just unheard of. Oh my gosh, I still deal with that. I mean, if I see the number on the scale move up to a certain number, I'm, oh my gosh, I'm fat. And you look at somebody like Karen Carpenter, what was she, 91 pounds when she died? I mean, and it has to do with, you know, and I'm going back to what I was talking about, clarifying. Clarify what your feelings are. Clarify what your thoughts are. What are your triggers when you walk into a room? Is it really somebody else? Is it really that they're all staring at you, wondering, oh my goodness, do I have something in my teeth? Or maybe they're thinking, wow, that's really a nice dress she has on. Or, gee, I wonder if that's our new admin. Great. I can't wait to talk to her, and see how she's going to help us with XYZ. I think that there's a lot of things that we can do to, you know, um, get ourselves past an imposter, quote unquote, syndrome, whether, especially in work. I think especially high achievers, like a lot of us in LinkedIn tend to be high achievers, Um, I don't know that I am myself, but I'd like to think I am. But anyways, I'm going to pass the mic off to Felipe. I have not heard from him in
Yeah,
ages.
you
So
know,
actually since before the holidays. So I'm going to
there's the
pass it off, but
there's the imposter in you, my friend. Oh, what a lovely dog! I like dogs that are not no properly fluffy, not patchy. That's a big
yeah,
dog.
but
That's a very big dog. Look at
And I
you.
just want to say hi, Felipe. I don't think I've ever been on stage with him that I recall.
That is not true, Sean. We have been on stage before.
Okay.
Sure.
Not as much as I have with any in my
No,
opinion.
obviously not. Look, now, Felipe, give me a second before Sean goes. Sean, what's the answer? How do we fix this feeling like an imposter?
The first step we've talked about. Look at your wins, right? Evaluate the things that you've done, where you've gotten, and evaluate the thoughts. A lot of times it's listening to the voice that's you're hearing that says, oh, you're just, you're mediocre or whatever. My first question I ask myself, is that my voice or is it somebody else's? Because if it's somebody else's, yeah, it's time to go. And it's a daily back and forth, like evaluating. Like Crystal said, she pulled the book out and went back, and because a lot of the book is stronger every day, building self-worth. unshakable self-worth, because the key thing is understanding. I actually wrote the book because I saw a need for self-worth, especially in men. And then self-worth is kind of a myth. That's my thinking today, because every one of us has unmeasurable value. Who's the one that assigns your worth? You're a human being. You were born on this earth. And reminding ourselves that. And it's a daily, it's like a renovation, right? Like a home renovation. You can't get it done day one. It takes time to go through and find all the problems, the cracks and the holes, and repair them, because our identity is, it's a construction. Anything that's constructed can be reconstructed.
Yeah. Okay. What's that book again? Stronger Every Day.
Stronger Every Day. I will post the link in the chat.
Please do. It saves me doing it. Right. Thank you so much, Sean.
All
You
right.
know, I guess change your identity is what I will say. Lisa, I see you, Dr. Lisa. Glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anyone I've missed? I haven't missed anyone, I don't think. Hopefully not. If I have, please do forgive me. I'm trying to do my best, right? You know, but do check out Sean's book. You know, Felipe, look, we talk a lot about the workplace. I think when you run your own business, imposter syndrome feeling like an imposter can drag you down. It can hold you back, almost kill you. I think it can kill your business. I think many people suffer from the symptoms that CJ talked about, because there's a set of symptoms, and behavioral, mental, all of that, and sometimes there's a lot of illnesses that come with this feeling we're talking about, right? Yeah, please. What's your take?
Anyway, I always love these conversations. It's so great to see you, my friend. I feel like it's been too long. I feel like I haven't talked to you since LinkedIn audio went away. But in the workplace and for entrepreneurs, both, I think it can be really crucial. I think when anyone's having a difficult time in their life, it's easy for that imposter syndrome to creep in, because you start doubting yourself when things are going bad and negativity's around. It can be easy to creep in. So I think it's important to make sure that you don't let that when you can. But I mean, someone in the workplace that has been told all their life that, oh no, you can never do IT, versus having someone say, well, let's give it a shot and see how you do, is a big difference. Because I do truly believe, and I've been trying to do some research around this. I haven't found a lot of stats around it. So a lot of this is based on my own experience of being in the workplace and watching entrepreneurs and people in corporate. I found two major common things in most of the situations where people are experiencing imposter syndrome. It either came from a childhood experience, not necessarily a trauma, and I'll give you an example in a minute, or it was topic specific. So I'll give you an example that actually applies to both. I was asked to co-author a book like 2 years ago. I read a chapter in the book. And I'm not an author. I can't write. No, that's not me. And it's about LinkedIn. So I wrote the chapter. And then I wrote another chapter. So co-authored only. Well, then fast forward. And I always had the story in my head about my daughter and our first dog. But I also had another voice in my head. It was a teacher that says, you will never be a writer. You're not a good writer. Don't ever aspire to be a writer, because you will not succeed. And for a teacher of all people to say that to you, it sticks with you and it stays with you. And it has. So I had a hard time, but I finally wrote this book, and it was a children's book. Now that's where the childhood experience came in and made me feel like an imposter. But now I've written it. I felt like I'm an author. My name's on this book. I wrote this. But then I compare it to someone like Sean's book, or some of the other books that have been written, whether they're literature, romance novels, how to, whether they're anthologies. How is writing a children's book that maybe was at most 1,000 words compared to 20,000 words in a book? Do I have the right to call myself an author? And I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot because I didn't feel like I had the qualifications compared to other people that have done things. Now, I had a few people talk to me, and since then, I feel comfortable saying that I'm an author. I usually say children's book author. I feel better saying it that way. But it's one of those things where I think when people plant a seed of doubt in your head, it can stay with you. And I think that can be a lot of the source, the root cause of our imposter syndrome. But sometimes it's topic related, whether it's being an author, being a leader, being a good parent. I mean, good Lord. Let's talk about imposter syndrome and parenting. How many people felt like an imposter? I know when we first brought my daughter home, the first memory I have of my wife and I being alone after everyone left, I looked at her and I said, we're responsible for human life. We're responsible for raising a child. I still feel like a child. Like I felt like an imposter. Like I'm not qualified to raise a human being. But again, you realize, okay, nothing's perfect. Everything can't be perfect. And I think in the workplace, entrepreneurs, mistakes, welcome them. Not often, but welcome them, because that's how you learn and get better and are able to be proactive next time when something similar happens and you don't repeat the mistake. You see it coming and you can stop it before it happens. And that's how we grow and learn and get confidence. And that's where I think at the end of the day, the confidence in our ability is what allows us to be that, not be that imposter. And I'll end with this. Speaking. I always tell people when they go up and speak, I used to have the worst up until I was 28 years old. I would quiver, speak, shake, sweat, I stutter when I spoke in front of people. Right, doing this right now, I would be a hot mess. And a director of mine put me through 30 days. Every day I came into work, she made me do a presentation for either one person or 50 people. And I got over my fear of speaking. But the one thing that stuck with me the most that I want to share with everybody else is when you're speaking about a topic that you are writing about, or that you're knowledgeable about, or that it's your story, if you mess up, no one's going to know because it's your presentation, it's your topic. And in many cases, you're the most knowledgeable one in the room about it. So that confidence, I think, allows people to not feel like an imposter when they're saying, I'm not a speaker. Well, maybe you're not a professional speaker, but you're the best person to speak about this topic. And so I think a lot of it is mindset too. So I'll stop there. Thank you for letting me share any. This is just, and by the way, when you are doing the anything, when someone says anything, I'm like, okay, did they say the anything or did they say anything?
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
No, I like it. It makes you stick with it. I won't forget about the anything because that's your thing. But thank you.
No, thank you. So imagine what it's like for me when anyone says the word any. I'm like, any. And it could be right. And I'm just like, did they call me? No, they didn't call me. Yeah, calm down. No, Felipe, look, I think you paint a picture that I think that helps us to truly get a picture. This topic is insidious. It affects all areas of life. From relationships to parenting to work, and then even as you mentioned, specific things. Where we truly feel. If you think you were presentations scare the bejesus out of you, cool. But I used to sweat and forget my words and think I'm going to trip over. And even when I had the words on the page in front of me, I couldn't see the words. The page suddenly went blank, and I was like, "Wow, I can never do this." Right? I think that's why I'm discussing it today. Partly in that I think we need to develop that confidence. Now, for the record, Philip, of course you're an author. You have a book in front of you, with your name on it, right? You're an author. Other people will look at you and say, everyone will say he's definitely an author, but some people will look at you and say, I haven't done that, And I'll say this, I think a part of me thinks this topic is partly about, comparing ourselves to others. Yes, and I think that's a definite one, but I think there's also a perfectionist element. There's 5 different types of imposter, by the way. It's not just one. There's, I said, being a perfectionist, I can't make a mistake. Otherwise, they'll know. They suddenly realize that I am that fraud I knew I was. And it's deep for those who have it. And maybe it's not a health condition in itself, is it? But
That's why I always say compare yourself to yourself, not other people. Because when you compare yourself to yourself, you can see the growth. But listen, I'm being called for dinner, so I just want to say
that's
thank
all
you
right.
again.
I never want to ruin your marriage, or anyone's marriage for that. To be honest,
don't worry. If anyone's gonna ruin the marriage, I can do that on my own. I don't need help.
Look, please put the link for your book in the comments if you don't mind.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us
Take
as well.
care.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Take care. All right. Look, my friends, it is this can be deeper than if self-doubt, as CJ talked about and as Krista talked about. That we can manage that. We'll deal with that every day. Whereas this deep sense of, I am not good enough to be here. It's not just a thought. I think for me, is the effect it has on people that drives me crazy. The fact that it really does. It holds you back in every which way. You don't take promotions, you don't take jobs, you don't take opportunities, you don't do things that you can do that can move you forward. Things that you're qualified to do, things that you're more than able to do. Even when you do those things, you still feel icky. You still feel, you feel like in the UK we call it, you're a fluke. You fluked your way there. In other words, you lucked your way there. You have no real ability and no real quality. And soon, one day they're gonna find out, and then you're gonna be embarrassed, and then you're gonna be ashamed, and you're gonna be demoted, you're gonna be fired. All those things, Mike. I tell you, you've changed, Mike. Yeah. I don't know if that's the mask or if that. I can't make sense of it, right?
I missed the squirrel.
I'll bring back the squirrel. No, you touched on something, because I keep on going back to how I was feeling with this imposter moments, and I think the comparison really is a thief of forward momentum. I think a lot of people are probably stuck, particularly on maybe 9 to 5s, rather than moving out into something more entrepreneurial, because of that imposter feeling. And I don't think they're necessarily taking stock. And I think what Sean said about clarity, and I'm convinced of this concept of scarcity mindset versus abundance, because I believe that when we're running up against a challenge, I have this life saying now that life happens for us, not to us. And so when we're maybe running up against friction, I think maybe that's life's way of saying we need to exercise that abundant mindset and say, what else can I do, what can I do differently, rather than saying it's not woe is me, and really taking stock, like I said, of those times where you maybe put things in the L column that they probably weren't in the L column. And if you give it a fair analysis, it most likely had something to do. And by the way, we make mistakes, and we need to learn from those mistakes as well. So I just look at it as stop. And I'm speaking, by the way, to myself probably more than anybody else. I'm like, stop looking at it as an L, and really start looking at what your skills and gifts and talents are. Go be a go giver and really exercise that, because to be honest, I think that's, I don't know, 90% of business is showing up ready to give. And obviously you have to have skills and experience, but I just think that that's huge.
I agree.
And when you can, like I say, when you can kind of put these feelings of, whether it's inadequacy, and I think the other thing that I wanted to say was, and this is going to sound a little harsh, but we're not that special. And what I mean by that is those feelings that we're having, and they're going to feel real and like overwhelming. I think someone was talking about overwhelm. That, but we're not that special, meaning that a lot of other people are feeling these things. And I
Mm.
think you can, like in some help groups I've been part of, I think it really helps to understand. And actually I was in a job seeking group that I attended earlier in the week, and this gentleman just couldn't really understand that we all were with him. And I think if we can understand, yeah, we're not that unique in this situation. Yeah, granted, your particular situation might be a little bit unique, but we're all going through this together. And reach out. If nothing else, reach out for help.
So that, my friend, that's good advice, right? It's good advice all around. I think we need to believe in ourselves, and I think being a go-giver is a good way of putting it for sure. Mary Kay, why don't you come to more of our events? I don't know, honestly. So I'm turning 59 this year, and I can attest that with age comes a beautifully created lack of interest and irrelevant. I don't give a yeah. I don't, yeah. I'm with you on that one. I guess I found that about 50, I think, pretty much. Before that, I was a slave to everyone's whim, right? Truly. But as you're saying, Mike, which is what Sean said as well. Ask yourself what story is running through my head. See, I think many of us have. We will have enough to start today. That's another comment I just saw. I think it's one of yours, Mike. I think saying just do. If I can find it again, no idea. Anyway, I think we'll have enough to just to start today. You see, but now this feeling that we're going to be uncovered for the sham that we are, it shows itself as procrastination sometimes. People are not even procrastination, people as over preparation. People who want to learn more, and I'm not going to do it until I know everything. No one's ever going to know everything. Listen, when someone said earlier that even Jeff Bezos must feel imposter syndrome sometimes, because he doesn't know everything. But his job is to employ the experts who do know a lot more than him. Otherwise, Amazon would have crashed years ago, right? That's the truth. We just have to have enough within us to say, yeah, I've got enough to start, and the rest I will learn as I go. If I make mistakes, so be it. Because we'll make mistakes. We'll learn from mistakes, right? That's life. Dr. Marcia, I see you, our leadership experts, leadership coach. From a Christian perspective, I'm glad you're here. I wish it was afternoon. It's 11:30 at night, right? And so my super editor Alexis is here as well. Cyrus, as you join us, my friend, whatever happened to your book? I don't know. And I ask you and Alexis, I don't get an answer. Okay, I've seen your comment, Mike. William, so Bill, welcome. Glad you're here. I say, Mike says, no. I'm getting thicker skin. Yes. So most of my imposter moments come from within. Indeed. So, but I think sometimes, Mike, the imposter moments come from outside. Others who make us feel less than. I think that's another thing in itself that we need to address.
I agree, but I think that goes back to that whole comparison thing, which I'm trying to do. And again, when I'm saying these things, I'm talking to myself probably more than anyone else. Is like I had a situation today where I'm like, I felt like I didn't meet some ridiculous standard in my interaction, and I'm like, what am I doing? I want to show up. I'm gonna make mistakes, but I want to show up and be me, be my authentic self. And if I'm aligning myself with the right type of people, they are going to become my people. And if I'm not, and then this sounds a little arrogant, but I'm like, even with my music, I'm basically taking the approach that and Rick Rubin has sort of popularized this, is the audience comes last, meaning you do what your art or your heart or your mind or whatever is telling you to do, and your people will show up, your audience will show up. And
Yep.
if they don't, I'm okay with that. I'm like, do I need to be famous or make $1 million? No, I just want to show up and produce something that touches the hearts. Apparently, I'm doing that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all I got for you.
You want to hear something funny?
Go for it, TJ. Go for it.
I am sitting here looking at the picture and that I have, and I'm sitting here thinking, I hope everybody knows that that is snow on my head and not dandruff.
No one ever thought it was dandruff. I can promise you.
You know what? Talk about imposter
glitter.
syndrome.
It's glitter, isn't it?
It's snow. You
It's
talk
glitter.
about you talk about imposter syndrome. My goodness, perfectionism at its best.
No, I hear you. Nikki, I see you. I see you, Nikki. Welcome.
CJ, the last thing they're going to look at is that little speck of white stuff. They're going to look at your beautiful face.
Yes.
Yeah. So
exactly that.
CJ, there's me thinking you were advertising Head and Shoulders.
Cyrus, you're not helping. I'm sure he wasn't thinking that either, by the way. I can tell you that.
How are you, Cyrus?
I feel great. Thanks for asking.
In forever.
Yeah, I'm not. Thank you so much. The question is, how are you under all that snow?
I tell you what, it has been awful. Being a Floridian and moving to the Midwest in the United States, this was the worst year to do it. It has just been very, very bipolar weather. We're talking about mental health issues.
It could be worse. You could live in the UK. That would have been worse. You drive out of a city. The weather changes twice and the accent 5 times. So there you go.
Yeah.
It can be raining in front of my house, not raining at the back of my house. It's really weird.
See, this is what I'm saying. Mother Nature is bipolar. She really, she has her own issues at hand.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Cyrus about his thoughts on our topic. Cyrus, what's
Thank
your
you so
take
much.
on imposter syndrome, my friend?
So first of all, my biggest take is hearing from you guys and learning from you. What Mike said and what CJ was talking about, what you were saying. These things are a source of knowledge for me, and it's a part of my personality. I respect knowledge and expertise. So thank you for sharing. Now, what I think is a combination of what I know and a lot of things that I've learned from here and there. Like as an example, I can mention something from Abraham Maslow. So the imposter syndrome, I think, comes from the need to be. It stems from the need to be accepted, and because it's an evolutionary thing. Like 300,000 years ago, when people lived in caves, back then, if you were banished from the group, you would be on your own. You would be buggered, right, out in the nature and no protection of the group or nothing. You would hunt on your own. And
the British term, that one, right?
Yeah, and you would be on your own, and you would not have a good time, and your life expectancy would get lowered by the day. So because you would be on your own. because back then humans hunted together, ate together. Um, like some of them slept, some of them stood watch, and they operated in a group. So if someone was not accepted by the rest of the group due to something they did, that would affect their livelihood and the survival probabilities. So that has been instilled into us in the same way that the fear of darkness it still scares an infant. The infant's been on Earth for like, I don't know, half an hour, and they're scared of darkness. Why? Because and same thing goes with snakes. We are scared of things we can't analyze and figure out. So those things are instilled in our psyche. Okay, so because our life depends upon it. So physiological needs like food, water, sleep, and then safety needs, something like, I don't know, being able to have healthcare these days. Being part of a group, experiencing love and intimacy are the things that we need. We needed, and we still do. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the pyramid. So I just want to focus on that. The need. It's a need. It needs to be satisfied. We need to make sure every minute or every day. We need to make sure we are accepted and we are a part of the society, and we are respected. You know, have you ever noticed? Have you ever had a friend or family member who would flip out, who would freak out as soon as they feel the slightest of signs of disagreements? As soon as they feel they're not accepted, they flip out. Have you ever wondered why? So that's evolutionary. So yeah, we need to feel accepted. Now, some people say women feel it more than men do. I don't know. There's no data on that I can, at least I can refer to, or I've ever seen in my whole life. But it depends. It varies from one person to the next, right? But I have a question for you guys. Think about this. If you're feeling imposter syndrome, it's a really good thing. Everyone feels imposter syndrome at one point or another, right? Some people acknowledge it, some people don't, right? It's like being poor or being a millionaire. We don't. We are all self-made, millionaires and poor people, and only millionaires acknowledge it, right? So some people accept the fact that they have experienced it, but who is it that never experiences imposter syndrome? Imposters. So throughout your life, if you're an honest person, your main focus is to not sound or act like an imposter. And however, an imposter's job during the day is to not be found out as an imposter, right? So, and another point is: this syndrome, is it not syndrome? My question is, who cares? Is it a syndrome? Is it not a syndrome? We tend to syndromize. I know it's not a word, but we tend to syndromize things so we can prescribe medication for it, or take the person through the healthcare and make money out of them. That's why people like put a label of syndrome as soon as they can. Number one, it makes it easier to be advertised, and number two, to make money out of it. So that's the syndrome bit. But and it's not a real danger to take it for self-doubt, really, because is it self-doubt? Is it not self-doubt? Well, self-doubt is when you question your skills, but imposter syndrome is when you questioning your own self-worth, right? So these are close, but they're not the same, right? So, and I'm going to finish on this. So, what is it that we can do to bypass that feeling? What is it? How is it that we can cure it? So, first of all, it's not a disease. It's not an illness. So you don't have to cure it, really. However, there are techniques to. It's like passing clouds, right? So the rain won't last forever, right? The snow won't last forever. It's like seasons. Feelings are the result of chemical reactions in your brain, in my brain, right? So they come and go. So just stay resilient. That's my advice, because let's say, let's say you're 40-ish, and then 40 years before that, and then 40 years before that. So that's when around the same time. Please excuse my wrong math if it's wrong. That's around the same time your great grandfather was in their 40s. And do you know their name? Do you know what they were focusing on? Do you know what they were all about? Not really. Not many people do. So now, from you moving forward, your grandchild and great grandchild, they're not going to even remember you in 150 years. Everything you know and you care about in 150 years won't matter to anybody, right? So you should care about what you care about, right? That's the main thing. Keep your focus on what you want to do, what you need to do, okay? Because in 150 years, they'll forget about you. Everything you own gets dispersed amongst your beneficiaries. All of your money, all your bank accounts, everything you own, none of it will be yours, right? When me and you are gone, 150 years, as if we never existed, right? So make it count now, right? So if you feel the imposter syndrome that you sometimes feel, um, work anyway, do it anyway. If you're feeling upset, do it anyway. Whatever you're doing, if you're involved in a business, or if you're involved in a personal brand, or if you're involved in, I don't know, raising your children, however you feel, no matter what your frame of mind is at that moment, do it anyway. If you're upset, love your children, or do something for your business for that day. Make better, become better 1% a day, right? 1% every day. So the cure, if you consider it a disease, which I sincerely hope you don't, if you dealing with it, tell yourself, do it anyway. Thank you.
I think that is similar to what Michael's saying. I think if we focus on giving, then we're gonna do it anyway. We can't just push past the feeling. My friends, the feeling is one thing, right? We all have self-doubt. Imposter syndrome is a deeper, debilitating condition. I can't say this enough, really. It destroys souls every day. I hear what you're saying. If they could just push past it, I'm sure many would. But it's a deep sense of, what's not being valuable. No, look, maybe it's not a health condition. I can accept that. So I accept what you're saying, Cyrus. But I think the people who suffer from this experience, call it that, they have a genuine mountain to climb. The solution is what you're saying. I can accept that. But I think the reason I put it all on Sean is because he's the identity creator, identity designer. So it's by changing our identity in our heads and how we come across to others. It's all of that. Yeah.
Well, it's a mindset, right? And I really want to embrace what you're saying about the seriousness of it, because I lived it.
Yeah, but
And
those of us who lived it, we know what it is, and it's not just a self-doubt. That self-doubt is just, I know, that's like a sprinkle of sugar on top. Because it's like the sugar on, CJ's head. Let's not talk about that.
but I think there are a bunch of solutions. First of all, I think it's absolutely worth reading a book like Sean's to understand what it is, because I think if we don't really understand a thing, then we're going to blow it out of proportion, or it's not going to be very solvable if we don't really understand what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think if we surround ourselves like people on this panel, these lovely people, these caring people, and these positive people like Zion, who's Mr. Friggin' positivity. I really think it helps get our mind into a place of abundance, and to be around people that are, and to have the elasticity. I guess the other thing I think it's important is love yourself as much as you love others.
Yes.
Which I'm talking to myself, in that often we don't, and I think this is probably the deeper source of this is really being comfortable in our own skin, loving ourselves, and like I said, then surrounding and asking for help, and surrounding yourself with people that can help.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, it's not hard to solve when you resolve to be the real you, be your authentic self, and accept your authentic self. That I agree with. Marsha, we're going to come to you in a second. Let me welcome Dr. Cheryl, our cybersecurity genius. So good she's written a book about it. You know, so Dr. Cheryl Cooper, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. I see Coach Carrie is here as well. Welcome. I don't think I see you in my room often, but I'm glad you're here. Mike, did you write a part of Felipe's book, or did you did a song for it? I'm not sure.
I just did the song. It's actually
Just.
well, well, it's interesting because I had written it for what I thought was just going to be the book launch, and then he, with a wonderful idea, was to take the illustrations that he had done for the book, and then he created a video, and then put my track, as the music, for the
Yeah.
video. So
Yeah.
I and then he's putting a QR code. My understanding is that the next printing of the book is going to have a QR code to that video. So
Very similar to Paulette's book, right? What we did with Paulette's book.
Yep.
You know, for the Jack and Water books. So, well done you. Well done you.
Thank you.
We say, please, when you start creating videos, then call. That will be the wraparound service that our friends need. I will play my song today before we go, by the way. So, Alavine, let me welcome you. Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. I know it's very as late as it is for me in your place, if not a bit later. Coach Carrie, you're funny. You said I didn't know you were in the UK. I didn't realize you were in the UK. And yes, I'm in the UK. And CJ mentioned that evil woman Thatcher. No, CJ, we all know who Margaret Thatcher is. She still haunts us. Depends what political persuasion you are. If you are Republican, as in the US, if you're conservative here, you might think she's the greatest woman that's ever lived. If you're anything else, you think
I'm just showing my age, Annie. Just showing my age.
She still haunts me. She's one of those people you think, damn, she lived. I almost wish she didn't sometimes, but she did. She did. No, she was a great woman. You have to give her that, right? She achieved a lot, and we should talk about her now. Ryan, welcome. I don't think we've met before. Great to see you. I'm trying to see. I wish my eyesight was better, but it's good enough. Okay. I have no hope of seeing.
Annie, why don't you use hindsight? That's 2020.
Yeah. Vincent, welcome. My experience in imposter syndrome comes from two places. One, you've allowed someone else's voice to become your own, which is so true. No, come back, Marsha. Hopefully she can't come straight back. Or two, you're seeing yourself through the lens of who you were, not who you are. That's true. I mean, that's what you were saying, Cyrus. The fact that we get to feel like an imposter means we're doing bigger things. As long as we choose to do bigger things. There's a lot of people would not do bigger things because they feel like an imposter. They feel like a fraud, so they feel like they'll get discovered too soon. Marsha, I don't like internet. I said, what am I calling you, Marsha? Dr. Marsha, sorry. Let me change that. let's correct our mistakes. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, on the positive side, I did get accepted to the doctor program. I found that out today.
Yay,
so I'm happy.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Marsha.
So, yeah.
Try and put a good word in for me, right? Try and tell them Annie wants an honorary doctorate. So they feel kind.
We'll see how it goes, guys. I'll keep you updated, all right?
Please share with us. What's your take on our topic on imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I wanted to read. I don't know if anyone read the definition already about imposter syndrome.
No,
has anyone read it? Okay,
no,
so it's a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishment, often internalized and exposed as a fraud despite objective evidence of their competence. Not a formal mental diagnosis, but can significantly impact health, leading to anxiety. Many of us can definitely resonate with that because, life, a lot of us are lifing. But when we're running a business, and Cyrus and Mike, welcome to the business world. CJ, I'm not sure if you're running any business, but if you are, girl, my hat to you, because it's intense. There's a lot of different hats that we have to wear. On top of that, there's like an image that people look at when they see you, right? And it's like you are almost like walking on eggshells. So it's like that's why I always say just be yourself. I am very protective of my energy, and I don't invite people into my home, and there's a reason for that, because my home is my safe space. And I think the older that I've gotten too, friends, I know where all the friends are right now. They all disappeared off the screen. Can we get back in the group, please? I love the way
we're here
together.
We're here.
I miss you. I miss all the faces. But it's like it's protecting your peace. I had someone earlier today. They did something that really disturbed me, and I don't talk to them regularly. It happens to be someone. It's a neighbor. And they did something that it bugged me, but there was a reason why it bugged me, because I took it personal. And then I was like, hold up, the old me probably would have said something, but the new me, I said, no. I said, no need for me to go there. For what? Why am I going to get upset over what? Something that I can't control. I can't control people. I can only control myself. And that's something that I learned through therapy. All you could do is control you. I can only control Martha. That's it. So imposter syndrome, we've all had it. But it's like, it's very easy to say, oh, just get over it, or just work through it. But it's a job every day to work through it. It is not something that you're going to just magically fix whatever problem you have internally and think it's going to be okay the next day. No, it's every day. And so my hat to anyone that may be going through an imposter syndrome, or maybe going through burnout, depression, anxiety. I get it. I so get it. I'm still dealing with my own problems, internal problems. And guess what? I'm still moving forward, because you don't want to stay stuck. You want to keep moving ahead.
Yeah, that's a thing, Marsha. That's a thing, right? And to keep moving forward. So Obia asked a good question. I would love to have your thoughts, everyone who's here, right? Obia asked a question. How do you distinguish between imposter syndrome and a genuine skills gap? Yeah, I'll leave that. You think of that for a second. Mary Kay, and again, if this is what Marsha was just saying, I said push past it. Maybe you can't just push past it. That's the thing. That's the truth. That's what Marsha is saying. I agree with you there. So why not use it as fuel to learn? Not competent enough. Become competent. Your confidence will follow. See, I think there's something you're saying there, Mary Kay, which is true. Which leads, it lends to OBS question. Sometimes our fear is that our knowledge gap is going to get exposed. We don't know enough, basically. But I guess the issue is that many people will not do until they feel like they got enough knowledge. They want to become the experts. That's another imposter syndrome symptom. Wanting to be the expert, the greatest expert there ever has been. The one who knows everything. Yeah, and I said, if we could just do what Marsha said, which is accept that we are who we are, we know what we know, we can do what we can do, and we got here at the right time. We're in the right place at the right time, then our confidence will follow. So a lot of people they get stuck in that expert mode, that perfectionist mode, which is freaky. People are people, right? As Sarah says, we all want to be accepted. But I think we have to accept that sometimes we have to learn on the job. Maybe that's the point, right? We're not going to know everything at the beginning. Of course we're not. But people want to know everything at the beginning, and they will stay stuck until they actually do know. Welcome, Nikki. I see you. How you doing?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. First of all, greetings, Annie and everyone. Good to see everyone and to be on the panel. I love everything that everyone has to say. My contribution right now about the imposter syndrome and how to stop yourself from getting stuck there or walking down that line. I'm going to echo what someone else said, which is just being your authentic self. And then not only just being your authentic self, but being transparent and honest that even if you are an expert in your field, which you should be the expert, right? But there's always room to grow, and nobody knows absolutely everything about their field, no matter how long they've been in it. There's always, because things are always shifting, changing, and new information is always becoming available. So everyone always has room to grow. One thing I have learned is to be able to say, I don't know. If someone asks a question about something that you don't know, you're not sure of, to say, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm going to get back with you. That way, it lets people know that you can be transparent, you can be trusted, you're authentic, you have integrity, and you're not a fraud. Or, not at the moment anyway, you're not a fraud. You can be trusted to come back with an answer that you know and can be more certain of. And it's easier to come back with that than to say something that is not true and then correct it and still be trusted.
Either way, I'll take it. No one knows everything. We're never going to know everything. And again, I think you're dead. You're totally right. The world changes every day. Anyone who does online anything who knows the world changes. Anyone who has a phone knows that devices change. Everything changes every day, right? There's always more to learn. And sometimes we just got to look at those around us to fill in the gaps, right? That's life.
Yes.
I think that it's not to let not knowing everything stop you and let that make you feel inadequate. That's life. And that's always going to be life, whatever we do. And I'm thinking in Mike's field, cybersecurity, for example. I can imagine, the new viruses come every day that people know, even those who are the experts don't know, they've never heard of. And AI, for example, has created a whole new load of problems that. How do you know everything? You don't. Well, you know enough to start. You know enough to do today. And whilst you're doing, here's my point: walk with the swagger. Walk with the confidence that you are where you are because you've earned that place.
I'm going to walk with my chin up, but not a swagger any.
Walk with the swagger, please. Mike, do a sachet as you go. I do. No one sees me doing it. Thank goodness. But literally.
Well,
go on, please.
If I come to London for a visit, I'm not walking with a swagger with you. I will walk confidently with my chin held high, but I'm not walking with a swagger.
What's about when when you're number one in the charts?
That's not going to impact me.
Will you
It's
walk
not
with a
going to
swagger
impact
then?
me. Nope.
Are you sure? Oh, honestly. What,
Yes. No, I
what,
can tell you why,
yes.
because
Tell
I
me
no,
yes.
I can tell you
A little
why.
dance in the step to one of your songs in your
Yeah.
head, Mike.
A little
Yes.
dance, a little dance is different. No, a swagger to me, I always wanted to stay grounded in humility and just being real. And
Mm,
because all that stuff comes and goes. And to be
mm,
honest, I have no desire to be famous at all. I don't want to be a celebrity. If something happens, I will, welcome it. But I really have no desire to be famous. Now, if that brings in money so that I can help people or lift other people up, awesome. But inevitably, and this is going to sound, and I don't mean to sound preachy, but um, this comes from above anyway. So yes, I'm in unison, with that force, and I'm happy to be. But I just don't. Again, I can walk with my head up and my chin up, but not a swagger.
we'll take it. Look, walking with a swagger has his own fun, right? Really.
Yeah,
So my wife will tell me this. You get 15 minutes of fame. I'm like, no, you get. Once you achieve it, you stay there. And that's my true belief. So no, I like to be me and walk with a swagger. I like to be, yeah, yay.
hey,
No,
you be
Annie,
you.
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry, Mike. Hey, I have to get going, but I just wanted to say goodbye to everybody. Martha, I want to say hi since we're finally on the stage together.
No.
Cyrus, so good to actually say hi to you again. It's been a while,
My
my
pleasure.
friend.
My pleasure.
when's your show, Marsha? I RSVP today.
My first show is going to be for the wellness, which will be next week, guys. I'm a little
Yes.
nervous about it. Imposter
Well,
syndrome, but I think it's just use your confidence, friends. You guys are all amazing people. I just want you guys all to know that I came here.
Marsha,
I
do it
come to LinkedIn
anyway. Do it.
because you guys all
Do it
uplift
anyway.
my spirit.
she's gonna do it. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. You're a
You got
superstar.
this.
She knows that, but she knows that already, right?
No, but
So
hearing it from other people is, Annie, there is something. I don't know. There's something to hear it from other people in your circle
I agree.
that know you and love you. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
and CJ, you have
I
such a
agree.
beautiful voice. I hope with the
I'm
podcast
going
or
to use one
something.
of the sayings that I think our dear friend Paulette uses: "Fake it till you make it." Right?
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
did she say
no,
that?
no. Don't
Yeah,
fake it.
that
Don't fake it. No, be it till
just
you
be
make
you.
it. Be it till
Just be
you
Oh,
make
you.
it. No, so
oh,
don't fake
is
it.
that
Be
what
it.
it is? Oh, don't
Yeah,
fake it.
I said be it. No, because
That was
you
close.
got enough to be there. You got enough to be. The presenter you are. You're gonna. You are Marsha. That you're gonna be on the day as well on virtual
Yeah.
awareness. So
it,
just
it,
be
CJ,
you.
CJ has a podcast voice. She should have her own podcast. She has a real beautiful voice.
Cyrus, CJ, you two should talk, right? Cyrus does podcasts.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we're
Mike
definitely gonna
and
have to
Mike,
do that
bring it
because
in the tune.
we need some catch up time. So Cyrus is gonna have to do a podcast with my new book, Annie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, well,
absolutely.
waiting,
Absolutely.
waiting. He's ready.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Marsha, Dr. Marsha, thank you so much for sharing your gems with us as well. Like, look, share the link in the comments if you don't mind. I don't know whether it's
Oh
fidgety on
yeah,
your phone.
yeah.
Always share the link. That way, at least we're gonna take a look and see whether we buy a ticket, right?
Yeah, and I
Thank you
really
so
like
much.
what Narcisse shared too. I
Hey, I
haven't met
will
her.
say this though, one quick thing. Practice self-compassion, everyone.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Look,
Yeah.
there's still obvious
Amen.
questions. How do we bridge the gap between, the knowledge gap between what we know and what we need to know for our role? I'll let you, anyone who's brave enough, take it wherever you
Wait,
like, all right?
was that the question that was asked
Yeah,
earlier?
that's good.
Oh, can I see that?
So yeah, the question was, how do you distinguish between imposter syndrome
Oh,
and
yeah.
a genuine skills gap?
That's such
Well,
a
if
good
you,
question. Oh,
Go on, Marsha. You're going
okay.
soon, so
Yeah. So,
I'm
you
actually
know,
I'm
it brought me, I had a meeting with the last year with the team, and it was about, we were talking about the in-house, and it was with the police officer who, he's addressing the in-house community. And I was asking him questions, and I kind of put him on the spot, because I don't consider myself to be, I am very knowledgeable in a lot of areas. I don't know it all, but that day I surely came in with my P's and Q's. Um, and even my team was like, whoa, like they didn't want to say anything because they felt like I came in with all my questions ready to go. But what I found in that conversation was when you're in a position to provide a service to humanity, you don't have to know all the answers. But if you are out in the field doing this work, you must be knowledgeable in different areas other than law enforcement, mental health, for example, healthcare, housing. I mean, there's so many areas that have to be touched. And so we got to learn a lot about one another in that meeting. So again, if you don't know all the answers, where do you go and get where do you go for support? And then I found out the support, that support wasn't helpful. So then that's when I put myself out there and my team, let us be a support system.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's an important point. I think Mike mentioned it a couple of times. The willingness to ask for help is a big part of getting past or overcoming or managing imposter syndrome. Those who have imposter syndrome don't want to ask for help. They want to do it by themselves because they know everything. Because that's what their head tells them, right? So being able to ask for help especially in the right places, I'll take. So I think that's very important. Yes, so I thank you, Dr. Marsha.
Yeah.
Another
Thank you
genius.
so much, Annie. And I will be asking for help too. So there'll be some
Yeah,
posts coming out for the nonprofit because I do need to get support in that.
we're,
So
we're here. You know I'm always there, Marsha. You know I'm always there.
yes,
Right?
thank you,
And
Annie. I appreciate you.
Marsha, in Hogwarts, the help always will be given to people who ask for it.
yes.
That was a Harry
Yes,
Potter
yeah.
reference.
You know what?
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm having coffee with an unhoused woman, and I'm hoping she will come on, be part of what I'm doing here to see how more people we can reach to get her help if she says yes. But I think it's just meeting people, just meeting them and making sure that they're getting the help that they need, and vice versa. Yes, we're running businesses, but we also need help.
Yeah, yeah. And the more people you know, who people who really know you, the easier life is. Full stop. And I'm with you on that one. I tell people every day, Dr. Marsha, get to know people. And a friend of mine's got an event tomorrow. I'm like, who have you spoken to this week about it? And you're like, damn, no one. Oh, no wonder we're where we are, right? But if you get to know people, but again, be your real self. Just be yourself, and the rest of it will fall into place in time, right? It seems like I've missed out Kenny on in my hello everyone in my hellos as I do, right? So do forgive me, Kenny. I see you. I see you now. Thank you so much for being here. Right, Dr. Marsha, I thank you again. Alexis says imposter syndrome partly comes from not being true to oneself. I agree. Putting effort towards one's own desires and talents and goals. I tell you, isn't that the truth? That's the swagger bit, Mike. Anyway,
ooh. I have a thought related to this. It's
go for it.
actually,
Go for it. Let's hear it.
if imposter syndrome, or I'm going to say imposter thoughts, we're not going to use syndrome anymore,
Yeah.
can be a misalignment of your purpose.
Mhm.
Because if you're aligned with your purpose, and I have a passion for X. I have a passion for songwriting. I have a passion to write poetry. I have a passion to do photography. If you're aligned with your passion and your purpose, I'm not saying you won't bump into imposter moments, but I think it's going to be less because I spent years in corporate America and it wasn't really aligned with my. I mean, yes, I was passionate about cybersecurity, but I don't think I was really. That wasn't my purpose. That wasn't. It wasn't. I wasn't well aligned, and so, and particularly when, unfortunately, cybersecurity gets treated like the cobbler's stepkids, and they're often last or low on the priority stack. So to some degree, that imposter syndrome is real, because you're not getting the resources that you need. It's not really imposter syndrome, but it's a challenge, right? But I think one of the things, and this goes back to, I'm going to keep on coming back to abundance versus scarcity, is if you're in alignment with your purpose, you will be in an abundant mindset. It happens, it clicks. And if
Yeah.
you're not, you probably are going to be stuck in a scarcity mindset and tend towards this. And it is more than self-doubt. And it, again, I would just say, if you're really stuck, reach out to others. Now, back to the skill gap, though. So that's a good question, and I think that, again, you have to analyze: have I done this in the past, or is there something that is either parallel or related, so that it's not really that heavy of a lift, and so then it's not necessarily a skills gap, because to your point, Annie, and I think others have made it, at least for me and in cyber, it was always changing. And that's not a fun place to be, because I'm not saying I was in constant imposter moments, but it's a challenge, right? And so you have to almost accept that and say, this is the nature of the business, of this business, and I am going to have to somehow adapt. And some amount of that is you reach out to other people. You develop a circle of expertise, and because you can't do it all and you can't know it all, then you form these cohesive teams and solve the issue that way. I mean, become part of a professional organization. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn here doing the whole LinkedIn live. Just plug in somewhere, find a and it doesn't even have to be professional. Maybe it's a church group or whatever. Maybe it's a volleyball team or something. Just plug in and find some friends and be authentic and open up.
Yeah, I think that's a very good response, Mike. As I will say, the imposter does not want to think anyone else knows more than they do. Yeah, they have no, especially those who have the expert or the perfectionist condition. They loathe to be around other people they think might have something to add. They think it's their job to know everything. It's their quality, it's their thing. That's our identity. Otherwise, that's the imposter bit, because they don't know everything. Then suddenly they think, oh, I'm lacking something because someone else knows and I don't. It's a weird thing, right? But I hear you loud and clear. Now we have to be willing to seek help, as Dr. Marshall said, and we have to be willing to be amongst people. That's saying, if you're the smartest one in the room, then you're in the wrong room, right? Spend time with those who know more than you. That's just
about the knowledge gap. That I think there was a gentleman who asked.
No, it was Obia. Obia.
A lady, a lady asked that question. So, regarding that, if you look at it realistically, you'll find out whenever knowledge, you always know if you're experiencing imposter syndrome or if you're doubting your skills, because in your heart of hearts, you know what the issue is, right? So you don't need to ask questions about that now, because your mind automatically answers that question to you. Now, if you came to the conclusion that the problem is skill set, watching lots of YouTube how-to videos, tutorials will help you. So just to give you an example of what I've experienced myself, so in the past year, I've been trying to find a way. Mind you, I don't know coding. I didn't know coding at all. So I've learned a little bit. Learned a little bit of Python enough to get by, right? So what I've been doing is I've been turning people's books into databases, right? For that person, for that author. Then it's an extension of the person's mind. It's like as if, let's say, Paulette Hallam or any song, right? So they're my client. Then they ask me to turn their book into a database. So the problem that I was experiencing was that ChatGPT and likes of ChatGPT, they forget. As soon as you close the tab, they forget everything you told them. Partly it's because of security issues and data protection, because they're not there to remember everything about you. They are there to take snapshots of the information you give them and memorize them. And a year ago, even this didn't even exist a year and a half ago. So AI is making progress anyway. So my number one problem was that I did not have the skill set. I wasn't a coder. I still am not a coder. I don't know how to code. But if you sit down and step by step follow the instructions that you find on YouTube, all the answers that you're looking for are out there. Someone has experienced it before. Ask that question on YouTube, on Reddit, on other platforms. So whatever you experience, and whatever problem you feel you're experiencing, or whatever knowledge gap you feel you're experiencing, you can compensate for that. And it's like taking a supplement for something that your body isn't creating, right? So your mind isn't creating. So tutorials is the answer.
No, I think, of course, no. We have to learn. We have to learn. That's what Mary Kay was saying earlier. If there's a knowledge gap, let's learn. I agree with you on that. There's many ways we can learn.
Absolutely. So now I can say confidently that the bot that I've created that derives from ChatGPT. The mind behind it is ChatGPT. It's able to remember everything you've told it, and you can have a proper conversation with it and say, 2 years ago, I have told you such and such about one of my problems. Give me a solution for that, or amalgamate like 3 of my problems and give me one solution. So it is possible to solve problems when you don't have the skill set.
You are listening to someone who creates AI agents that speaks in language. I know these things exist. I have no idea how they work, but if you want to create an AI, a version of you that's not you, where that speaks like you, talks like you, say what you would say, talk to Cyrus for sure. That's the point.
Look, absolutely. Imagine people coming to your website and having a conversation with you when you're not around. So that's what it does.
No, I know they exist, and I know they work. So talk to the experts. Thankfully, that's not me. Look, I do want to get to the last 2 comments I can see on my screen. My friend Ty, DR property guys, he thinks he's funny. Ty, and yes, there's no escaping Ty. Ty is a property agent in Dominican Republic, and we're going there on holiday soon. And Ty's, he's one of my best friends, truly. And Ty is here to ask the question: does Igor Tudor suffer from imposter syndrome? He's asking for a friend. No, he's not. He just wants me to have to answer the question. If you don't know, Igor Tudor is Tottenham Hotspur's football club manager, and he's meant to come and save us, but he's sinking us. Yeah, Ty, leave Tudor alone. We're paying the price for being a rubbish team and not investing in our team for years, not investing in the right players. Our leadership team is a problem. Tudor, he's not going to complain, because if he leaves tomorrow, he takes 10 million with him for doing nothing, which is fine, right? Anyway, he hasn't got imposter syndrome. He's trying his best, Ty. He hasn't got the players to do what he wants to do, like calling games. Ignore that. Josette, thank you so much for joining us as well. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I definitely need to add all these events to my calendar a week or 2 ahead. Josette, I wish you could. I wish you could. Yes, my events do go on a 2-weekly cycle, 2-weekly schedule, but I can't set them up until my co-hosts give me the topic. and the title, which normally is a few days before the event. Look, connect with me if you haven't already, Josette, and then I will DM you the link to the events as best I can. If you're in US and you get my invites from LinkedIn, otherwise you get a DM sometime before the event, ideally, sometime during the event. But you got more chance of knowing when the events are if we're connected and you're in my DMs. Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. Nikki, I wonder what your take is on this knowledge gap. Is it, how do you marry the imposter, the feeling like an imposter, with the fact that there is a genuine knowledge and skills gap?
Well, it really echoes what I said before, is in order to bridge that is to be okay with being the expert in your field, but not knowing everything. Be a student, be a forever student of your craft. As long as you know that you deliver what you say you're going to deliver, and that you're doing it to the best of your ability. And if you need help, seek help. Don't let pride stop you from getting the results that you deserve to get, that you want to get, because you don't want to say you need help. And be willing to offer a payment to someone that provides assistance, whether or not they take it, but be willing to offer some sort of stipend for their assistance. Create win-win situations as much as possible.
Have all of that, those who need have to be willing to pay for what they need, right? That's business, and I think that's life, right? Otherwise you are forever going for the cheap option, which normally won't give you all the answers you might need. Sarah's mentioned looking online. Yes, you can learn a lot online, but I think the coaches of this world are there for a reason. The experienced mentors are there for a reason. We have to be willing to learn. I'll tell you that, and we have to be willing to pay for the expertise we need. I say that because that applies to me too. Say the reason. One of the symptoms of imposter syndrome is what's called soloism, where we want to do everything by ourselves. Sometimes it's that because of what you're saying, Nikki, we're not willing to pay people who are better than us. It's like hammering a nail into our toe for the sake of it. That doesn't make sense, right? We have to be willing to pay. I know if I want experts in my business, I'm going to have to pay expert wages. I've done that before, and they nearly bankrupted me. But I was employing juniors, not experts.
And then here is something else.
Can I add, Nikki, and then I'll stop.
Here's something else. Many times, people that know more than you know are maxed out on their clientele.
Yep.
But if you're willing to ask for assistance and compensate them for their time, they are more than likely to shift or share some of their ongoing clientele over to you, some of their downpour over to you, and trusting that the same service they was going to give, you can now give it because you came to them for help.
Yeah, that's everything. That's a wise entrepreneur there, right? Again, like I can't. There's no point hiding it. If you're not willing to pay, then I think God almost looks at you funny, really. Whereas if you're willing to pay, things open up, opportunities come knocking, right? things suddenly come, things that you didn't expect, the benefits that you probably didn't plan for suddenly come before you. You have to be willing to reciprocate is the word. Dr. Marsha, please.
Yeah, well, reciprocate. Yep, absolutely. There's, I work with many of the people that I work with don't have any. I work with the unhoused population, and so what they do for me is they share knowledge of what resources are helping them. Whether it's for gas or for food, they'll share that resource with me that I can then pass the word to someone else. And the same thing here on LinkedIn. If someone has done a favor for me, or they have went out of their way to do something kind, recently, Mike just left, made a beautiful song that actually had me crying. I went and left a recommendation for him, He took the time to look at my profile, and so another option is, I know, Annie, you had Buy Me a Coffee. Do you still have that up on your profile?
For Paulette's mental wellness room, so I know what you mean. Some people have clients.
Like, if I want to buy you a coffee, how can I buy you a coffee, Annie? Because you're hosting these events. Like, how can we support you? I know we can share the invites. How else can we help you? Because I'm finding value when I'm able to come in and connect with friends and meet new friends on top of that. So how can we support you? Right. It is an interaction, and there's ways to do it. If you don't have money, there's other ways that you can give back to one another.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, I think it goes to what Nikki is saying. The best way is always referrals. Introduce me to your friends who I can help, who might need my help. That's all I ever ask for. Anyone who gives me a referral is a pot of gold in my eyes. Now, of course, we can all do this for each other, right? If you know someone who can help someone in your network, on your contacts list, on your connection list, introduce them. It costs you nothing.
I'm glad you said that. And great inserts, Martha. And here's a question. Who is your ideal client to refer to you?
It's not as hard as it sounds. I don't hide it either. If someone's got a book that needs publishing, call me. If you have an author who has a book that's not selling, call me. This is not, again, it doesn't matter whether I get to work with them. So I just love to meet new people. I think that this is a lesson for all of us, right? You get to meet more people. You never know when they might say, yes, I want to work with you.
Yeah. And you do make people famous, Annie, because when I started my journey on LinkedIn, Annie always acknowledged me in every room that I was at. I would show up. And then, I have obviously, I've been some places now, but Annie has always been such an amazing mentor and person to connect and follow and connect friends with him. So I adore you, Annie,
yeah,
a lot.
Philly's mutual, Marsha. Seriously, but you know that already. Look, thank you so much for your kind words, my friends. I can't thank you enough. Introduce it. You just want me to do it with Cyrus, and CJ, about podcasting. I'm saying we can all give someone a kind word, right? It goes a long way. Look, our time is gone. We've been here way too long. And so I love the chat. We've been here for a long, long time. So I thank you all. I want to show you a couple of videos before we go, because that's my thing. I love to have videos to show, to make some of the points that I don't get to make necessarily. Right. So the first one is my longest serving client, Dr. David Cliff. It's probably the one that got me to understand that imposter syndrome is a real thing. Before this, I was like, they can go over it. He's like, no, they can't. Listen and learn, right? So watch this video. I think it's a minute and a bit long, and then I'll show you another one that's more empowering. Let's see what you think. Here goes.
Hello, my name's David Cliff. I'm Managing Director of Gedanken. We are a coaching, mentoring, personal development and management consultancy. I'd like to give you some thoughts today about the issue of imposter syndrome, which seems to affect a number of people. So here are 3 insights that you might find useful. Firstly, acknowledge your success. If you're feeling you're in a situation like you shouldn't be there, or who am I to be there, then the reality is you're in a new environment facing new challenges. You're growing and evolving. Take stock of what you've done to get there. It hasn't just happened by fluke. Acknowledge your success. Secondly, stop comparing yourself against others. We are naturally creatures of comparison, but it's all too easy to look at social media, to look at how someone's presenting at a conference or in a meeting, and actually start to use that as a critique of yourself. You have your own skills and attributes. There will always be greater and lesser. There will always be greater and lesser in the world, and you have to adjust and calibrate your relationship with yourself in relation to those pressures. Celebrate who you are rather than doubt who that is. Thirdly, take action. Keep going. Don't second guess yourself. Work on growing and evolving in the job you're in. Focus on learning rather than self-doubt. Get your skills into action and grow into the role that you're currently in. At Gedanken, we'd be happy to have a look at these concerns if they relate to you, or indeed the whole panoply of developmental concerns that relate to personal identity, managerial identity, and leadership capability. Why not give us a call or drop us an email? Come and have a cup of coffee, and let's see if we can start you on your journey to a more effective, more integrated leader, manager, worker.
I do love Dr. David Cliff. He's genuinely one of those people who he cares about people more than anything else. So hopefully, you got some ideas there. I think be yourself, but take action. That's a point. That's the point of today's conversation. Really, be who you are. This second video is more light-hearted. I think the point is important. It's only a few seconds long, so here goes. I could watch those all day.
Absolutely love that.
I could watch those all day and get emotional about, look, thank God for YouTube is what I say, especially, right? And thank goodness I get to find these videos. That I will take credit for my shows anyway. You know, it's a way forward, and I love creativity as well, Nikki. It's the way to tell a complicated message as simply as can be, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the point is now everyone has imposter syndrome in one form or another. You know, we might call it self-doubt, but I think just be you. And talk to someone. If you feel hollow, don't live with it, because you're not hollow. You're really no one's hollow, right? You didn't get there by luck. You got there because of who you are, what you do, what you bring. That's the point. You know, you have to truly believe that you have something. You know, you've earned your place. You worked too hard to get there, to live it. To drag yourself down and destroy your soul in the process. There's no need. No one wins, right? I would thank you all for spending your time with me, and I've taken a lot of your time. But if there's a last point you want to make, Nikki, please feel free. Cyrus is the same. If you want to say a last thing, then please, now's your chance.
My last thought would be just keep going. Signs of you, well, excuse me, when you doubt yourself and you start to wonder why you're going on this path, is it even worth it? A lot of times that is a sign that you are on the right path, and you'll never know how successful you can be if you quit.
Tell you, isn't that the truth? Many people quit just before success hits, right? That's the truth, right? And just keep
That's
going.
right.
I'm with you 100%. Keep going. Mr. Cyrus, any last points you want to make?
Firstly, thanks for sharing the valuable insights that you shared today, Annie. You're a valuable member and one of the pillars of this community. Thank you for everything you're doing. Secondly, I just want to ask everybody on the stage who shared their fantastic knowledge as well. I learned and I'm grateful. And people who listened, thank you. And I hope the insights that I added to you. And if you feel I am worthy of learning from you, please do DM me. And please come to the stage and share with us in the future as well. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. And thirdly and lastly, we are told to think and grow rich. And it doesn't matter, rich is spiritually or financially, it doesn't matter. Just thinking won't get you anywhere. You have to take action and grow rich. That's the reason why I created this brand that you can see on the screen. Think and grow niche. Okay, so you can take a niche in the business and really niche down, or as British people call it, niche down, and serve people and help people. And I guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt, they will gravitate towards you. They will follow you. They will send you DMs left, right, and center in the same way that they are sending it to me, to Paula Tallum, and people like us who contribute to the live events and have our own live events. So think and grow niche, because by just thinking, you won't grow rich. Thank you.
I think and grow in niche. A lot of
I
people would
love,
think. Sorry, Nikki.
no, I'm just saying that I love that think and grow niche. I love it. And I've been staring, I apologize, but I haven't been staring at the logo for a while. And I tell you, it's eye catching.
Thank
I
you.
love a good logo. I love a good brand design. Yes, I'm a sucker for a good brand design.
To be honest with you, to be fair, I stared at this in my head for months. Right, it was there. That image was there, and I stared at it for months. And then I was like, what's the worst? What's the worst thing that could happen? I'm gonna create it, and I did it.
Yeah,
And thank you, Nikki.
well done, you. I think that's a good point to leave it on. If you can see, if you have the vision, even in a job, you can make it happen, right? You know, and all you have to do is, you know, have the confidence to say, I'm going to make it happen, and then put the things in place. Sometimes other people, sometimes it's systems, sometimes it's, you know, it's resources. You know, it's more learning. But you know, do what you want to do, what you see in your mind's eye, and believe you're the person to do that thing that you see. That's becoming. That's doing, right. Imposter syndrome. Yes, leave it for others to deal with. You know, don't let it hold you back, my friends. You know, think and grow niche. Talk to Cyrus. You know, because it is a service, and I think there's something there, especially in 2026. You know, so, but I will thank you all for spending your time with me. I've got one more Stanley Green show tonight, in a couple of hours. Obia, thank you for being here. God, please get some sleep, right?
Thank you.
all
Thank
of,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
all my amazing speakers. I can't do the shows without you, and I never know who's going to be here when the time comes, right? So thank you so much. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you all the way, Crystal started it off, and then Mike, Sean. I could carry on, right? Alexis, and who else? CJ as well, and Marsha, Dr. Marsha. Thank you so much, everyone. Look, enjoy your night. We're back here in 2 weeks' time. I'll give you a heads up. We're going to talk about how do you know this is your purpose. Yeah, Mike asked it earlier, and I thought, interesting topic. Let's talk about it. How do you know what your purpose really is? There's so many different ways that could go, right? Let's talk about it in a couple of weeks. Same time, Wednesday, right? Take care, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Now this thing's it's not going to move too quick. All right, it's moved. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrating with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.